Hi everyone and welcome back, and I have Supervisor John Plasse with me. How you going, John?
Good. How you doing, Tom?
Pretty good, pretty good. And we want to talk about Proposition 172 money
That's what I understand.
And efficiencies in the fire department, and how do we get some of those efficiencies, and also lots going on with the fire department, especially if we start to consolidate. So why don't you speak to that, John?
Well, I'll speak to it from the Prop 172 side of things. Amador County, like all counties in the state, had its property taxes shifted back in 1993 by the state. They shifted taxes from the counties and cities to schools, and then in '94 they decided to replace 65% of the money that they took. They would replace it with a half-cent sales tax measure, and that measure is Prop 172. So while they took general fund monies from property taxes, they replaced general fund monies with greater level of sales tax, albeit less than they took in the first place. So when we talk about Prop 172, I think it's important that everybody realize that it is the general fund monies of whatever jurisdiction. The cities get Prop 172 money back, as does the county. So the county had historically been putting all that Prop 172 money, it's earmarked by the state to go to public safety. They'd been putting it towards our sheriff's department, DA's office, probation, some of those functions. And the fire community came to the Board of Supervisors and said, can we develop a plan that moves gradually over a 10-year period, moves to a more equal split between the amount that the sheriff's office gets and the amount that fire gets, that goes to fire protection services. And this was all done on the basis of a recommendation from the Fire Services Task Force that was formed in 1997, which said, in a nutshell, the most efficient way for Amador County to provide fire protective services throughout the county is through the consolidation of all of our fire districts, all of our volunteer fire districts.
Have we got much consolidation yet, John?
No, we really haven't, Tom, and it's a frustration.
Who has consolidated?
Well, nobody has consolidated into, I'd say the closest thing to consolidation is that the city of Plymouth and the city, or the Sutter Creek Fire Protection District, are contracting with the Amador Fire Protection District, the county fire department, to provide employees and be the sort of the employer of record for the paid staffing that is at those two respective stations, Sutter Creek and Plymouth.
Okay, so we did a story, I believe, last week. The Board of Supervisors approached us and were, discussing these things. And some of it was the efficiencies. I believe someone made the statement. I thought it might have been you, or some of the Board of Supervisors were asked, like, why do so many units show up at the scene of an accident? And I guess, most people perceive that probably as an inefficiency.
Mm-hmm. I think it appears that way to most of the public. I do believe that it results as a result of the mutual aid agreements that all the different districts have. Jackson, Sutter Creek, Ione, Amador County, everybody has signed a mutual aid agreement that says the closest resource rolls. And in the area when we had only volunteer fire department personnel, it was made a lot of sense for everybody everybody get to the scene as quick as you can, irregardless of whether you're the closest source. If you get the call and you've got the ability to respond. And they're still doing that, and I personally think it's still a good thing, but it would be nice to get to a point to where not all agencies roll, but we have those efficiencies in place without the redundancies, so that we get.
Yeah, I think we all kind of like it, but maybe we don't realize quite that of all the expense that happens at the same time.
I think
now,
so.
John, how can you not force but nudge consolidation? What can the board do?
Well, the board was asked to investigate funding options for the consolidation into a singular fire department in Amador County. I believe that occurred in 2006. Most of the cities have signed resolutions in support of the #1 recommendation of the Fire Services Task Force, and that is consolidation. So everybody, while they've paid good attention to it and signed resolutions in that, we just haven't seen the movement in that direction. And when the county was asked to find a funding source to help fund this consolidated effort, part of that was the plan for the 172 monies to be distributed amongst all the different fire districts that currently exist in the same pro rata share as the Measure M monies are distributed. Well, we've been doing that, but also been getting the responses from those districts that, no, we don't want to consolidate. Well, to me, if you don't want to consolidate, particularly if you're a fire department within an incorporated city, then the incorporated city should be covering the costs of that fire service. I mean, that's what an incorporated city exists for, is to provide a greater level of public safety to its residents, and they derive a greater level of sale taxes and a greater level of property taxes as a result of being an incorporated city. So I just don't think that county monies should be used to subsidize incorporated city fire departments without there being a true consolidation.
We don't have a lot of time, but what would a consolidated the consolidation of the fire departments look like? What do you think it would look like? What structure would it take?
Well, I think it has to be a singular entity that has its own employment personnel. All employees are under the same, for instance, pension systems. We've now moved to where some of our fire districts' employees have become CalPERS pensioners, and the employees with the Amador Fire Protection District are in a different, more 401k style pension plan.
Do you see the cities with the because of the fire the money from the sales tax that's generated to help put full-time people on? Is that maybe entrenching these cities to have their own fire departments?
Well, I don't know if I'd use the word entrenching, but there seems to be less
my vocabulary
motivation.
lacks.
Yeah, no, there seems to be less motivation to consolidate than there was before, and I don't understand the reasoning behind that. But again, I just don't see the sense of the county taking its very limited general fund monies, Prop 172, and using them to subsidize departments that don't wish to achieve the efficiencies of consolidation.
Okay, now the 172 monies, don't they also go to CDF to man the CDF station, or not?
Well, this last year, the Board of Supervisors voted to use the full fire allotment of Prop 172 monies, that portion that was meant for fire protection, to pay for the Amador plan, which is a contract with CAL FIRE to help provide services in the off-season, and services and resources.
And with the full allotment, we have one station open.
Right, right. And that is, it's gotten so expensive at the state level. That's probably phase 2 of this, is moving away from the Amador plan and utilizing those monies within our own departments.
Okay, well, we're going to have you come back because it's a big subject, wouldn't you think?
It's a big subject, and it can't be squeezed into 6 minutes, but I appreciate the opportunity, Tom.
Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks, and stay with us. There's more news on the other side of the break.